Hi everyone, welcome back to our presentations. Today we're going to see the reading The Colonial Order by Guillermo Bonfil-Batalla, which is part of his book Mexico Profundo. Guillermo Bonfil-Batalla tells us that the Colonial Order was established from the beginning as an exclusionary system that rested in the distinction between colonized and colonizers. Those colonized had to change their ways of life to adjust to the needs and the interests of the colonial enterprise. They had to assimilate to what the forms and the new ways of production that the Spaniards brought with them, and their needs and their interests. They only adapted as conquered and colonized people, and they were never able to be part of this dominant culture. The difference between the two groups was maintained because in it rested the justification for the colonial domination. The system of exclusion saw the indigenous culture as not valuable, and also in this new form of subjugation, the other was denied its existence. His culture and his cultural vision of the future was not compatible with the colonizer. They did not exist. No. Their exclusion was evident in the system of cultural control imposed by this different civilization that arrived when the Spaniards came to Mexico. Before the European invasion, each one of the people that inhabited these lands, they had their unique history, their unique culture, the unique differences. They were in contact between each other, but they were different. They had their own identities, their own language, their own religion, their own gods. Although they shared things, they shared characteristics, they traded with each other, they had war with each other. They were, even when they were subjugated people by one group to the other, the conquering group wouldn't deny them their individuality. For example, when the Mexicas expanded their dominion into the southern part of Mexico, they conquered these people, but they kept them as distinct groups. They only required from them tribute. No? The Indian became a product of the establishment of the colonial regime, and this is one thing that Bonfil-Batalla shows us, is how the process of the colonization brought by the Spaniards erased the differences between these groups and created this one category, the Indian. It didn't matter that they were Maya, that they were Mexicas, they were Zapotecas, Purépechas. For the Spaniards, they only saw one group, the Indian. Which is also a misnomer because, as we now know, Columbus was looking for a way to the India on a western route, no? And that's when they found these lands. They called the inhabitants of these lands Indians, no? The dichotomy or opposition of established between the colonizer and colonized made the distinctions between the different groups meaningless. So the New Spain was conceived as a society with two republics, the Republic of the Indians and the Republic of the Spaniards. The relationship between the dominant society, who thought of itself as superior, and a Republic of Indians, which was conceived as inferior. Since its beginnings, for Europeans, the category of Indian was seen as shameful, denoting a natural inferiority, and seeing as the Indian as someone that whose destiny was to be subjugated, dominated, and to serve. The incorporation of the diversity of the Mesoamerican peoples in the common category of Indian led to a series of processes that reduced many of their differences. They became more uniform among each other. During the first decades, the territorial units of the Aztec Empire, defined as a head of community and its outliers, were still used by the Spaniards to collect tribute and to organize forced labor parties through the repartimiento system established by the Spaniards. As the years went by, these divisions lost significance, and the local community was left as the only social space where the continuity of Mesoamerican civilization was possible. In this sense, the colonial order was conceived from the beginning as a duality of categories, the Spaniard and the Indian, colonizer, colonized. However, other social categories appear and made this duality problematic. The mestizos and the Afro-descendants especially blurred this distinction. So we had this original duality, the Republic of the Spaniards and the Republic of Indians, and then later they created a caste system. The Spaniards created a caste system, which was a system of social and legal hierarchies based on racial characteristics. The three root groups were the Peninsulares or Spaniards, the indigenous peoples or Indians, and the Afro-descendants. This caste system imposed by the Spanish elites was defined by the different levels of biological mixtures between the different ethnic groups living in Mexico, and decided a person's socioeconomic status, wealth, and quality of life. So, in the simplest way, this is how it looked. The Peninsulares with the Spaniards, the Criollos or the Spanish descendant born in the Americas, the Mestizo, which was the mix of Spanish with Indian, the Mulatto, the mix of the Spanish and African, and the Indian and the African slaves at the bottom of the pyramid. This is a portrayal of all the different mixes that's an original portrait from the colonial times, and it shows all the different possible mixings and also shows the Spaniards' obsession with these racial mixings, because it shows us español con indias, mestizo, mestizo con española, woman, castizo, castizo con española, goes back to being español, español con mora, which is a black person, becomes mulato, el mulato con una española, a morisco, morisco con una española, a chino with an India, al saltatras. So we can also see the differences between the gender differences. If it's a man, a Spaniard man, or a Spaniard woman, then the result is different, no? So this system, this caste system, creates also a class system, no? And this class system then goes later as in the independence time comes, and this caste system disappears in terms of its legal implications. But it had a larger implications in terms of the class system that was established in all of Latin America, which has is the result of the legacy of this caste system. And this is for the most part what Bonfil-Batalla tells us about the colonial order. And leave it here.